What is going on? Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of T2N Live. It's been kind of a rough one trying to get this thing started, but having some technical difficulties. And I was actually going to try to go live to Instagram as well, and I tried to do that, and it locked my computer up. So I had to reboot my computer just before it was time to go live. So it's been kind of crazy. But anyway, let me get to what's going on as far as what I want to get out there with this video tonight. This video is an introduction to a 4-part series. The first part obviously being the introduction, and then 3 parts to follow, all about why nutrition is so important. When you think about nutrition as a whole, you have to break it down like this. The old saying, we are what we eat, is 100% true. Everything that we put in our bodies is broken down by our digestive tract, metabolism, and other things, and it is distributed throughout the body for use in a number of different processes for energy and things of that nature. So when you look at what we eat as a whole, you have to kind of look at the food intake that you have as being like fuel that you put in your car. Okay. You can have the general mom and pop drive to the grocery store kind of car, and you can either put the cheapest grade in there. It'll get you where you need to go, but it's not necessarily going to be as efficient. You can put the mid grade in there, which is obviously better than the cheaper grade. It will be a little more efficient, and by being a little more efficient, you might get a few more miles out of it. Then you can put the high test stuff in. The high test stuff is obviously going to be much more efficient than the other 2 options. It has more octane. It has more energy, so to speak. So it's going to take you a lot farther with a lot less. The same thing holds true with the nutrition that you put in your bodies. Okay. If you are constantly putting mid or low grade, or even worse, just junk type gas in your body, you take a gasoline motor and mix a little water in with the gas and see how well it runs. Doesn't run very good. So, it's these things that you have to keep in mind when you're thinking about nutrition. Now, there are 3 major macronutrients, which we've discussed before, which are your proteins, your carbohydrates, and your fats. Each one of these serves a purpose. Oh my goodness. I don't know what is going on, but I'm looking at I'm looking at my live, and it's like everything on YouTube is going great, and from what I'm seeing on Facebook, it's still in the countdown. I hope that's not the case. I hope that's not what you're seeing. Maybe it's just what I'm seeing on my end. I'm not sure. Robert, what's going on, brother, over on Facebook? Good to see you. Yeah, glad you like tunes for sure, man. Definitely more of that coming. And that's gonna be one of those lives. Now my titles aren't working correctly, so I wonder what's going on there. I see what it is. I see exactly what it is now. There. Now we got Robert out there. Oh my goodness gracious. But anyway, so yeah, so when you look at the 3, you have 3 major macronutrients. Okay, each one of them is important. Each one serves a specific role within the body. Let's talk about the first one, which is fats, healthy fats. Now, there is a difference between healthy fats and just plain fat. As you can tell by that little image there are things like nuts, seeds, oils, avocado, salmon. Protein can come from, all different types of sources. It can even come from some plants, which is why the vegetarian diet is able to work, because without protein, we just can't survive. It doesn't work that way. You have to have protein. Protein is the basic building block of all the macronutrients, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But healthy fats are incredibly important because fats are used in hormone production. So a lot of the hormones and whatnot that your body produces through the different metabolic processes in the body are actually come from fatty acids, which come from your healthy fats. Something else to keep in mind, I've spoken on many occasions that your brain is made up of over 30% saturated fat. So you can imagine what would happen to your brain if you eliminated all saturated fat from your diet. Wouldn't work very well. And in most cases, it doesn't, which is why people that follow a ketogenic diet that eat more higher levels of saturated fat and the healthy fats typically report improved cognitive function with the brain. So that's just a couple of things to keep in mind as far as fats go. Now, before I go any further, I want to let you guys know that as far as these individual macronutrients, that's what's going to be happening over the next 3 weeks. I'm going to break down each one of the macronutrients as we go along, and we'll give you more in detail. You'll be able to ask me questions and whatnot on, like, for example, what fats are good, what fats are bad, stuff like that. All of that stuff will be coming in weeks to come. So now the next macronutrient we're going to talk about this evening is carbohydrates. Now, just like fats, there are certain types of carbohydrates that are better than others. You can have when it comes to carbs, you can have your high glycemic carbs or your simple carbs, or you can have your low glycemic carbs or your complex carbs. The difference between the two is, oh, Michael, that was funny. You made me laugh, and I lost my train of thought. The difference between simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates is that your simple carbohydrates break down very quickly, and because of that, they get into your bloodstream quickly. They don't take anywhere near as much time to digest as what your complex carbohydrates do. Some examples of simple carbohydrates are white rice, white potatoes, white bread. Most of your white starches are simple carbohydrates. Most of your sugars, both refined and all of these other things, are stuff that it's very simple. It's very easy for the body to break down, and because of that, it has the ability to spike your insulin and boost your blood sugar levels very, very quickly. Your complex carbohydrates are things like brown rice, sweet potatoes versus white potato. A lot of your other grains like quinoa and stuff like that. These are all carbohydrates that take much, much longer because the individual chains of saccharides that make up the carbohydrates are much more complex, so it takes longer to break them down in the digestive tract. So you don't get the insulin spike, you don't get the huge, spike in blood sugar, which most people associate to, like, if you eat a lot of junk food, a lot of junk carbohydrates and whatnot. People talk about a carb coma all the time, or having the sugar crash, for example. That's what they're talking about, because what happens is those simple carbohydrates process through your body very quickly, and then they're gone, and your insulin is spiked, and as it drops down, you have a tendency, leaves you feeling lethargic and things of that nature. So we'll get more in carbohydrates in the coming weeks for sure. Now, the third most popular, and in my opinion, the absolute king of the macronutrients, is protein. Okay. Protein, as I said, is the basic building block for every cell in your body. Just like fats make up the membrane in every one of your cells, protein is like the building blocks. Fat may hold it all together, but without protein, cells can't be formed. Okay. So it goes without saying that it's an incredibly important macronutrient to pay attention to. As a good rule of thumb, you need 0.36 grams of protein per day just to survive. That's just to survive. And that's not even surviving healthy. That's just surviving. A good rule of thumb for most individuals is 0.65 to 0.8 grams of protein per pound of lean body mass. That means your muscle tissue and things of that nature. You subtract the amount of body fat that you have. Now, you might be asking, how do I figure out how to do that? There are multiple body fat calculators online that use a variety of calculations to estimate it. In my opinion, the most clear way to find out how much body fat you have, the most reliable way is like a DEXA scan or things like that. Even things like using calipers to do skin fold tests and things like that, they aren't quite as accurate as some of the, like a DEXA scan would be, because it so much depends on the individual. You can take two individual people and have them do a caliper test in the same place on the same person, and odds are they'll get two different results. So you want to try to figure out what your estimated body fat percentage is, subtract that from your total body weight to find your lean body mass. Now, do you have to be perfect when it comes to this, as far as when you're trying to figure out what macronutrients and stuff you need? Absolutely not. You don't have to be perfect. You want to be as close as possible, but you don't have to be perfect. Any place is a good place to start. That's what I like to tell people on a regular basis. So, I mean, that's pretty much it for what I had for this one. It's just kind of an introduction to what I have coming up over the next 3 weeks. Hopefully I'll have all the technical issues sorted out, and I'll actually be able to go live on Instagram too. And the other thing, for those of you who might be interested, and I'll give you a few more minutes, and this will go on throughout the rest of the night. I'll wind up picking a winner in the morning. Anybody that's watching on YouTube or on Facebook, if you're interested in winning a free 30-day coaching plan, meaning that you can fill out some intake forms, we'll have a video conference, we'll go over your different goals and things of that nature. I'll put together a customized nutrition plan for you, along with some workout advice. You'll have access to my custom app for 30 days where you can track all your meals and your workouts and things of that nature. And you have access to me 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you have any questions or issues or whatnot, you can always reach out to me. That 30 days normally costs $100 for one of my clients to actually have me work with them for 30 days. I'm giving one away for free tonight. So if you're interested in winning that coaching plan, all you have to do is put #coaching in the comments here on Facebook or on YouTube for a chance to win. Now, because this live was kind of short, and I'm not going to be on here a really, really long time. I'm going to let things run overnight so people have a chance to watch the replay and whatnot. And then in the morning, I'll put whoever commented, I'll put all the names in the hat, I'll pick a winner, and then I'll announce it. So, yeah, I mean, I'm all about trying to help people, and that's just one way that I can do it. So if you guys are interested, simply just comment #coaching. All right. I don't have anything else for this one, so I'm going to wrap it up. I will see you guys next week, same time, Thursday, 7 p.m. And next week we're going to talk about fats. We're going to talk about good fats, bad fats. So if that's something that interests you, make sure you set a reminder when you see me post and schedule the lives so you can come back and see me. Until I see you again, you know my motto,